How to sleep better after 60 might come down to a single mineral. There's a quiet chemical conversation happening in your brain every night. And when it breaks down, so does your sleep.
How to sleep better after 60 might come down to a single mineral most people haven't thought about since a high school biology class. There's a quiet chemical conversation happening in your brain every night between a mineral called magnesium and a calming messenger called GABA. And when that conversation breaks down, so does your sleep. What if the restlessness in your legs, the racing in your mind at 2 a.m., wasn't age at all, but a simple deficiency with a simple answer?
There's a man I know. Call him the man who counted ceiling tiles. 66 years old, retired electrician, hands still steady, mind still sharp. But every night since his wife passed, he lay awake counting the same 14 tiles above his bed, the way a man counts sheep when sheep have stopped working. He knew every water stain, every hairline crack. He'd memorized the ceiling the way he used to memorize wiring diagrams, out of necessity, not affection.
It's not grief keeping me up, he told me, almost embarrassed, as though admitting a physical symptom felt more shameful than admitting sorrow. My legs won't stop humming, like they're plugged into something. He'd try everything: a second pillow, an earlier bedtime, a late walk around the block. Nothing touched it. By 1 a.m. most nights, he'd give up entirely and sit in the kitchen with the light off, listening to the refrigerator hum, which felt, he said, almost companionable compared to the emptiness of the bedroom. He didn't know it yet, but his body was starving for one particular mineral, and no amount of willpower, no amount of grief worked through in daylight was going to fix a deficiency sitting quietly in his bloodstream.
Here's the mechanism, stripped of the jargon. GABA is your brain's primary off switch, a neurotransmitter that quiets nerve activity so your mind and muscles can finally rest. Think of your nervous system as a house full of lights left on at the end of a long day. GABA is the hand that walks room to room, switching each one off, one at a time, until the house goes dark and quiet enough for sleep to move in.
But GABA can't do its job without magnesium. Magnesium acts like a gatekeeper on the very receptors GABA needs to bind to, specifically the NMDA and GABA-A receptors scattered across your nervous system. Without enough magnesium present, those receptor gates stay stiff and half shut. GABA knocks, but the door barely opens. Some of the lights stay on. The mind keeps circling the same worry. The legs keep humming with an energy that has nowhere useful to go.
And magnesium becomes harder to hold on to as we age, for reasons that rarely make it into casual conversation. Stomach acid naturally declines with age, and magnesium absorption depends heavily on it. Many common medications, certain blood pressure drugs, acid reflux medications, even long-term diuretic use, quietly strip magnesium from the body faster than diet alone can replace it. Add ordinary daily stress,
which burns through magnesium at an accelerated rate. And you have a mineral that many older adults are running low on without a single symptom pointing directly at the cause. The result? Restless legs, muscle tension that won't release, and a mind that races even when the body is exhausted. 3 symptoms that look, on the surface, like nothing more than getting older, but underneath are simply a gate that won't quite open.
You don't need an expensive supplement aisle. Magnesium glycinate, taken roughly an hour before bed, is the form most gently absorbed and least likely to upset digestion. But food works too, and for many people, food is the better place to start. A handful of pumpkin seeds, a square of dark chocolate, a serving of spinach at dinner, a banana before bed. None of it dramatic. All of it, over time, adds up. Pair it with a warm bath, if your evenings allow one. Heat itself encourages magnesium to relax smooth muscle, which is part of why a hot bath has always felt like a small mercy at the end of a hard day, long before anyone could explain the chemistry behind it. And dim the lights an hour before sleep. Bright light suppresses the very calm your GABA system is trying to build. And screens are often the worst offenders, not because of the content, but because of the light itself, tricking the brain into believing the day hasn't ended. Consider, too, the small ritual of a wind-down window. 15 minutes with no screen, no bright overhead light, just a lamp, maybe a book, maybe nothing at all but silence. This isn't about perfection. It's about giving your body consistent, repeated cues that the day is closing. The same way you dim a theater before the curtain rises, rather than plunging the room into darkness all at once. Give it 10 nights before you judge it. Minerals rebuild slowly, the way trust does, quietly, in the background, long before you notice the difference in the mirror or the bedroom or your own mind at midnight. But here's what the man who counted ceiling tiles eventually told me on the 11th night, the first time he slept clean through until morning. It wasn't really about the sleep. It was about permission. Permission to stop gripping so tightly to a day that had already ended, to a house that had gone quiet in ways he hadn't chosen, to a grief that didn't need to be solved at 1 a.m. in an empty kitchen.
He said the strangest part wasn't waking up rested. It was waking up without the 14 ceiling tiles already memorized in his mind, before his eyes even opened. Some nights, he told me later, he couldn't even remember falling asleep, which struck him as a small miracle after months of remembering every single minute of not sleeping. He'd started leaving the bedroom light off entirely most nights now, no longer needing the dim companionship of it, because the dark had stopped feeling like something to fight.
Magnesium, in its quiet chemistry, does something almost spiritual. It teaches the body how to let go, one receptor at a time, one gate opening after another, until the whole house of the nervous system finally goes dark and still. And maybe that's the real lesson of aging well. Learning night after night, how to release what the day no longer needs you to carry. Not forcing it, not gripping harder, just quietly, chemically, humanly, letting go. Magnesium unlocks the very receptors GABA needs to quiet your brain and relax your muscles. And low magnesium, common after 60, is often the silent cause of restless nights. A modest evening dose, warm food sources, and a dim light routine can rebuild that chemistry within about 10 nights. But the deeper gift is learning to release the day, not just survive it. This episode reflects personal perspective and general wellness education, not medical advice. Magnesium supplements can interact with kidney conditions and certain medications. Always consult your doctor before starting a new supplement.